What's up, strugglers? Welcome to the first trading recap of this channel. So I'm starting this video with the first trade that I made on my 100k account that I promised on my first video that I was going to recap every single trade that I make. And so today I'm recapping the first trade that I made. So I'm actually recording this right now, Friday at like 1 a.m. and my first trade was actually on Wednesday, but I'm doing the recap right now because I was too busy editing the first video and all that, so I'm just doing it right now. But usually I should do the recaps on the day of the trade or the day after. So let's go ahead. So basically what I want to talk first is actually what is my strategy. So basically my strategy is that I just trade fair value gaps. That's literally it. So as you may all know, a fair value gap is a 3-candle pattern, as you can see here. So we have the first candle, we have the first candle right here, the second candle that is an expansion, and the third candle that just closes, I guess, above the first candle low. So this creates a fair value gap. And basically what my system and what my strategy is I basically just trade the fair value gap in and out. So what I mean is that I'm gonna wait for price to retrace into the fair value gap, and once price retraces to the fair value gap, I wait for an entry, and my target will always be the third candle's low for this example, which is the bearish fair value gap. So I'm going to target this swing low. Whoop. And so once that happens, here we're in a weekly time frame, but I will go for example on a 1 hour time frame and just wait for fair value gaps down. That's literally it. So here we're in a weekly fair value gap, so we'll just wait for fair value gap down in 1 hour, and basically this right here would be my entry right there, stops, whatever, just to show you guys. But then I target the low right there. So that's basically it. That's my strategy. I just trade fair value gaps. So for this trade recap on my first trade, so I was actually keeping an eye on New Zealand dollar because this was Wednesday, so I'm doing the recap of Wednesday's trades. So I had an eye on New Zealand dollar because we had CPI on Tuesday. So coming into Wednesday's morning, I was looking at New Zealand because that's the pair that I thought would have the most volatility. And so my target was this swing high on the weekly time frame. Here we went through that because we're Friday today, but at that time on Wednesday we were right here. There you go. So coming into Wednesday morning, I was seeing this, and my target was this swing high on the weekly time frame. And so when I have this target, I just ask myself, if I want to go to this target, how can I go there? So from where can I go there? So that was my target on the weekly time frame. So to go there, my point of interest, if I can say it, was this 4-hour fair value gap, right? Oops, there you go. So basically what I wanted to do was to wait for price to retrace into this fair value gap, to then take an entry to go higher into this weekly swing high right there. And so at that time, that's what I wanted to do. But when I zoomed in the 1 hour right there, so at that time price was like this. So we had the 4 hour below, right? And so we had a 1 hour fair value gap right here, if I can mark it out. So my bias, although it was bullish on the higher time frame, I actually wanted to take a short right there on this 1 hour fair value gap right there, to target that 4 hour on the higher time frame fair value gap, to then potentially later on go higher, right? So that was my bias for the day. And so price did end up retracing first into that 1 hour fair value gap right there, And so basically what I do right now is once price is in my point of interest, which was that 1 hour for value gap, I just wait for a 5 minute for value gap down. That's literally it. So it can be an inverse for value gap, for example, right there. It can be whatever you want, just a fair value gap down. So for me, it was that inverse fair value gap, and I was targeting the 4 hour fair value gap right there for a 1 to 2, and price did end up going to my favor. And so yeah, I ended up closing the trade right when price was around here, because we tapped into the 4 hour fair value gap and we started to get like a rejection at that time. So my thought process was that price could reject now from the 4 hour fair value gap and on my stop loss. So I was at break even, but I just stopped the trade there and I closed it for a 1-to-1, I think. And so at that moment of time I was up 1%, but price did end up retracing deeply into the 4 hour fair value gap. And once I saw that, at that moment of time, price was into the 4 hour fair value gap right there, right? And we had an immediate rejection off of it, as you can see on this wick right there. If I go on the 5-minute, this right there was my other entry where I entered right there, put my stop loss here, targeting the swing high on the weekly time frame. So I'm basically using the 4 hour fair value gap with a 5-minute ST, so a sharp turn with an inverse fair value gap entry, and price just hit my stop loss. So I basically lost another percent, so I'm at break even. But the reason why I lost in this trade was because price on the dollar was actually bullish, right? So meaning that if the dollar is bullish, the pair that is against the dollar will be going bearish. And at that time, I remember price was right here into this bullish 5-minute fair value gap, but I was not looking at the 5-minute time frame. I was looking at the 15-minute time frame, and price just came down here with the body, and it made it disrespect a bullish 15-minute fair value gap. So that was like a sign for me that the dollar was going to go lower, and then NZD/USD was going to go higher at that wick. So I got manipulated right there and I got just stopped out. But that's okay. I respected my plan. I ended the day at break even. And so yeah, that was the first trade on the 100K account. The thing that I don't like about this day was that I tried to limit myself from taking these like small time frame trades where I enter on the 5-minute to target the 1 hour, because honestly this trade recap is so complicated. You guys are probably lost right now. My trades are usually simpler, and the fact that it is so complicated to explain this trade means that I should have probably just not taken that 5-minute trade. Even if I wanted, I got a 1 hour, I should have simply waited for the 4 hour fair value gap to get filled, and that's what I did after, which is okay. I got manipulated into this wick, but yeah, I need to avoid taking lower time frames entry and just focus on the higher time frame. So basically 4 hour fair value gaps, daily fair value gap, that's when I know I'm most successful at. And so even though I won that trade on the 5-minute, I probably shouldn't have taken it. But besides, that's the point. So that was the first day of the trade recap. Thank you guys for watching.